Welcome to the Black Girl Burnout podcast. Kelly here. And today is the 500th episode of Black Girl Burnout. 500 episodes ago, I thought I was creating a podcast about burnout. Looking back now, I realize I was documenting my own becoming. But before I go any further, I actually just want to stop and say thank you. Thank you to you listening. And I want to take a moment to thank the people behind the microphone because to get to this point, it took a lot of work. And not all of that work was mine. I have a village and had a village behind me every step of the way. So here's some folks I want to thank that you may never have seen or heard, but you definitely felt and experienced their presence. My production team, I want to thank the editors that I have had throughout these 500 episodes. I want to thank Will, who was the original editor of Black Girl Burnout. I want to thank Trey, who edited several episodes of Black Girl Burnout. I want to thank the Next Day Podcast Production House, who I've been having a lot of my episodes edited through. And last but not least, Heather, who is currently editing this episode. Thank you for all the work you've done. I want to thank the incredible social media team. I put a call out maybe a year and a half ago to ask if anyone wanted to help with Black Girl Burnout social media, and some of the most incredible women showed up. I want to thank Noon. I want to thank Caitlin, and I want to thank Phoebe, who still currently runs the Instagram and TikTok for Black Girl Burnout. Lifesavers, every single one of these people have shaped and made the podcast what it was. And last but not least, I want to send a special thank you to my original producer, Wendy. Wendy truly fought for my podcast, treated my podcast like it was her baby, and literally laid the most beautiful foundation for Black Girl Burnout. I truly believe that Black Girl Burnout would not have been what it was without Wendy. So, Wendy, thank you. You have been one of the greatest assets to Black Girl Burnout. Working with this many Black women has been a treat. Working with the people that I have worked with who have spanned all the races and gender, I feel incredibly fortunate to have known each and every one of you. This podcast could never have been built solely by me and one person. And you all share a little piece of success that this podcast has had. So, back to the episode. I want to tell you a little bit about what I've been thinking about and where my mind and heart has been over the last few weeks. I want to talk about where I am today, and I want to talk about where Black Girl Burnout is going from here on out. 3 weeks ago, I made an intentional choice to take a break. I didn't fully take one from the podcast, but I took one from Substack. As you know, I've been talking about both here and there this process of thawing, about how grief and how trauma and challenges can put you in a state of freezing. And I realized for a long time I was freezing. And so I took some time to kind of explore and to feel my way into the thaw, so to speak. It wasn't a planned break, but it was a needed one. What I realized is I spent that time exploring and remembering. One of the reasons why I put a pause is that I had to lay my father to rest in Arlington National Cemetery. It was a beautiful ceremony, and it put a nice, loving, and gentle kind of end to my father and his passing. It was the last thing that needed to be done. He was hanging out with me in my home, and I wanted him to have a final resting place. The ceremony was beautiful. It was everything he deserved, and I was happy to be a part of it. And in that process, I did find myself remembering more about him, the beautiful memories we had. For example, some of my earliest memories as a child was waking up and waiting for my dad to come get me after work and bring me down to the dinner table and feed me. You see, my dad worked swing shift in the military, and so he worked from 3 to 11 p.m. And I would miss him pretty much during the evening into the night. And so I would go to bed, but I always knew to wake myself up and wait for him. And I remember sitting in my crib waiting for him to come get me and pick me up. He would enter the home, put his stuff down, and come up and get me, and then reheat dinner. Sometimes, if I was really fortunate, it would be steak, and he would give me little bites of steak. And sometimes it was a can of sardines. And sardines are making a ridiculous comeback thanks to TikTok. I mean, Black people have been eating sardines, but it reminded me of my dad and those moments of bonding that I had with him, and just how much love I experienced from my father. And so after I buried my father in Arlington Cemetery, a day or two later, I had a beautiful girl dinner, I called it, of sardines and banana peppers and pickled red onions and some crackers. And I just felt so much in that moment. A little bit of grief, but a lot of love. And I realized that when people pass, we start remembering all the parts of them. My dad was a hard worker. He was a funny guy. He was quiet. He was very duty oriented. If we're lucky, we don't just remember one thing about a person, we remember the whole person, maybe in pieces, maybe all at once. The realization that I came to is that as I remembered these different parts of my dad now that he's gone, it became clear that I didn't want to wait until I'm remembered to bring all of the parts of myself back online and back into the world. You see, my father was a lot of things. He was handsome. He was funny at times. He was extremely, extremely service oriented. My dad was the guy that would get up in the middle of the night if you needed something, and he would get it for you. He worked tirelessly for his family, at sometimes holding 3 jobs at once. But he also had shut parts of himself down for years in order to survive, in order to make my life possible. And I know that's what a lot of us do to survive. I know I did. I talked about that a few episodes ago. As I remembered my father, I started to remember myself. And I started to think about all the parts of myself that I have quieted to get through the last few years. I've been on this survival/healing journey. There have been years where I've had to survive, and there have been years where I have been healing. And I would say I've been doing that now for the last year or so. But healing isn't a destination, it's a journey and a process. And what I have resolved is that if healing is this journey, I have to bring delight along for the ride. I don't want to wait until I'm fully healed to bring whimsy into my life. And I don't want the same for you. It is important more than ever that we find what I am calling a middle way of existing. It is choosing to be ambitious and soft at the same time. It is holding two opposing thoughts and feelings at once. It's understanding that I am always going to be working on my healing. That if you are a healthy human, you will be working on your healing for a long time. That is the work, that is the journey, that is what life is about. But it's not the only thing life is about. That if I am continuously healing, I do not want to be postponing joy and delight until my healing is finished. Because it isn't a destination, because healing and delight aren't separate journeys, they're companions. The hope and the heartache, healing and delight, they all walk side by side. And so I'm really thinking whimsy has to make a comeback. I realize that the world is challenging. My world continues to be challenging, but I will no longer let only the challenges be centered in my life. I will no longer only let the healing journey that I am be centered in my life. Not alone. They're going to have some backup. To that end, I want to tell you something honestly. Painfully, in the last 2 months in the Black women's wellness space, two podcasts have gone on hiatus. One, unclear if it's going to be permanent. The other one is on a hiatus. So it's coming back, just don't know when. Those 2 podcasts, by the way, are Be Well Sis and Affirmations for Black Girls. If you listen to either of them or just hearing it for the first time now, please go back and check out their catalog. They are both truly incredible podcasters who've made a beautiful body of work. I support both of these women's choices completely, and I understand why they made the choice. And I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about them. I want to talk about the state of podcasting right now. In the last 6 years, since 2020, podcasting has dramatically changed. It is harder than ever to sustain this kind of work. And for Black women specifically, it has become extractive instead of sustaining. Podcasting is asking Black women to give more of themselves in the important work that they're doing, and it is giving back very little. Watching the decisions that they have made and the breaks that they are taking has renewed a conviction in me. I refuse to build Black Girl Burnout in a way that recreates burnout. And if I'm teaching you not to abandon yourself, then I can't abandon myself while doing this podcast. Black Girl Burnout can't just be a place that helps us recover from burnout anymore. It has to become a place that helps us practice living while we're healing. Because if healing isn't a destination, if it's a lifelong process, then whimsy and delight can't wait until we're finished. We have to bring delight along for the ride. And once I understood that, I knew this platform had to grow with me. So I've talked about what I realized on my time off and where I am right now. I want to spend some time talking about what's happening next. I promise you it's exciting. It's all goodness. I have really, really thought through what Black Girl Burnout needs to be in this next iteration. I'm really proud of the podcast. No, I'm really proud of the platform that I have built with Black Girl Burnout. And I want to keep building and I want to keep bringing you all along for the ride. We are bringing whimsy and delight back to Black Girl Burnout. I mean, she never left, but I want to center it more. Black Girl Burnout needs to be this shining beacon on the hill. Allow me to be a little grandiose here and say that I really think Black Girl Burnout could stand out as something truly different in this podcasting space, in a space where everyone's teaching you how to get your bag, how to change your body, how to peptide stack, how to get the skincare, how to work out in a certain way, how to get the best partner for yourself. In that space, I want to keep building something different and, dare I say, disruptive. I want Black Girl Burnout to be a space where women who are burned out and tired of the noise can come on in and experience moments of being seen, moments of being taught and being held as they unburden themselves, and experience moments of delight and whimsy too. The world is hard. And I just don't wanna simply tell you to be soft in the face of it. I wanna create that space to be soft and to create the moments that bring delight back to your life. And I wanna do that in a host of different ways that are both hands-on outside of the podcast and through this medium. But in order to make the podcast really work for myself and for you too, it requires a couple of things. One, some restructuring on the back end and some thoughtful negotiation. And it requires me to kind of go off and figure it out. figure it out. Figure out what's next in all the pieces of my life and in all the pieces of Black Girl Burnout. And because of that, I'm going to be taking the next 8 weeks off. I want to be honest with you about what that means because I don't want you worried about something that doesn't need worrying about. I'm going away for 8 weeks. The podcast isn't. In fact, the next 8 weeks are going to be a mix of some upcoming episodes. I mean, some really, really good episodes coming out. A mixture of guests you've never heard that I've recorded in the last few weeks, and a mix of my favorite guests and episodes that I have ever done in this podcast. Your experience isn't going to change at all. The show is going to keep showing up for you. I'm just going to be building behind the scenes instead of in front of the mic. So I'm going to be off remembering, bringing all the different parts of myself online, having a ball. I'm really dedicating the next 8 weeks to having a ball. And, my idea of having a ball and your idea of having a ball, let's be clear, might be very different. You're going to be like, Kelly, that is the lamest 8 week hiatus I've ever heard of in my life when I tell you what I've been up to. But I am going to be having a ball. I am going to be having a blast. I am going to be out in the world full of gratitude, honoring my father, honoring you, the audience, honoring myself by bringing whimsy back. 500 episodes of Black Girl Burnout. Can you all believe it? And like all things that are Kelly and Black Girl Burnout, there's not going to be a parade. There's not going to be 3,000 social media posts. There's not going to be me doing some big event. It's not who I am. I'm a little more quiet, maybe to my own detriment. But I don't want to pretend that I'm not giddy and celebrating this incredible milestone that you and I have experienced together. So let's celebrate together. If you want to help celebrate the 500 episodes with me, I want you to think about doing one or two things. You can DM the platforms of Substack, TikTok, Instagram, send a message and tell me about an episode that touched your heart or got you through something. If you want to email me at info@blackgirlburnout.com. I want to hear from you. I'm going to be reading every single one of your responses and your thoughts. If you've been a day oneer, let me know. Or if this is your first episode. Now, if you want to do one more thing for this podcast as we close out 500 episodes, here are some other options. First, I am doing something truly different over on Substack. I'm so excited. I'm trying not to say all the details, but it's really going to be special. This week, I'm unveiling where Substack is going. And if you'd like to follow me on that journey there, go subscribe. It's free and come see what I'm building over there. Second, if you have never left a review, this is your moment. It takes 10 seconds to hit those stars, and it helps this work reach more women who we know need it. And third, there is a tip jar in the show notes. If Black Girl Burnout has touched you in any way, and you've ever wanted to make a one-time gift, now's your chance. This podcast is 100% self-funded by me. So whatever it is, it helps tend to all of this. So maybe these first 500 episodes weren't just about recovering from burnout. Maybe they were preparing us for something bigger, not just surviving, not even just healing. Maybe they're preparing us to remember that our lives are meant to hold more than survival, more than productivity. They're meant to hold delight, wonder, whimsy, rest, community, the full weight of who we are as humans. So thank you for trusting me with your healing. Thank you for letting me grow alongside you. And thank you for giving me the space to become. I'm bringing all of myself into what's next, and I hope you'll bring all of yourself too, because I have a feeling the best part of this story isn't behind us. I think it's waiting for us in the next room, and I'll see you there.